So I think for aspiring leaders it certainly gives them a sense of what are the major roles.
I think the profiles have really given each of our new leaders the opportunity to have a much deeper, challenging conversation about what it means to be a leader.
And that's really about me understanding what it takes to be a great principal.
The leadership profiles were developed from the Australian Professional Standard for Principals. They're a set of 80 statements that together describe the actions of school leaders as they carry out their work across a range of practices. They reveal detailed pathways for development as leaders increase in proficiency throughout their career. So how are the profiles being used by aspiring principals to support their development as school leaders? To find out, we spoke to emerging leaders, principals and system leaders about their experiences.
I use the leadership profiles as a tool to guide my own self-reflection.
The leadership profiles firstly help me become self-aware of my strengths and my areas for development. It also allows me to create a path around my future development alongside my mentor.
My 4 deputy principals are aspiring leaders, and it really gives us a language and just the tools that they require to focus on what their areas of development are.
And that's really about me understanding what it takes to be a great principal and understanding the nature of that it is a developmental sort of slide in and across the profiles and sort of understanding that as a concept. So my initial discussions with my mentor principal have been around, well, what does really good look like? And what are the kinds of things that I need to do to be able to move across those profiles in different areas.
So that each deputy took the profiles away and were able to highlight either phrases or whole sections from the summary page. And then we sat down together and actually discussed where they felt they were at, what they needed to focus on. And can I say that was fantastic for me as a new principal in a new school with 4 existing deputies. It helped me really understand where each of those deputies were at and what their strengths were.
During my preparation stage, I work closely with my principal as a mentor to help guide me. She also helps me reflect upon where my current sort of position, I suppose, against the leadership profiles are, but also to highlight my strengths and really, what kinds of evidence are there that sit alongside that for me to be able to demonstrate my strength.
So I think for aspiring leaders it certainly gives them a sense of what are the major roles, and it gives them a sense of the breadth, but also gives them the opportunity to look at how they might develop further in preparation for being a principal.
By looking at the leadership profiles, I was able to identify that working and engaging the community has been a really important aspect for me that I need to grow as a leader. My previous roles have allowed me to look at more operational matters, and so I've identified that I need to focus more on how I engage the community within my own site. And how I'm using working with the community to then expand my leadership skills to help me run a school in the future as a principal.
I think the profiles have really given each of our new leaders the opportunity to have a much more deeper, challenging conversation about what it means to be a leader. And often those conversations are not just with their contemporaries, the other new leaders, it's actually when they're working in partnership with more experienced leaders.
So one of the values for using the profiles for the mentor is to have the same framework that the mentee has and to be able to work through it together.
So last year, the parts that I found particularly beneficial to work through with Frank was around the management of the school. As a deputy, I'd touched on management issues, but it was never my responsibility as a deputy. So it was always easy to think, well, the principal will deal with that. So leading the management of the school was some of the bits that I actually hadn't done before.
Well, the leadership profiles have supported me in providing a framework that I can help Marg locate her issues or concerns within the profiles, and then to look through strategies and resources that are contained within the profiles that might be useful for her in her working through issues or concerns at her school. I would say the interactive tool was perhaps the most powerful part of the profiles for a mentor, because that way the mentor could work directly with the mentee in an interactive way and look through different parts of the profiles.
So I actually present the profiles to emerging leaders, and we talk through what each professional practice actually means, and I encourage the aspiring leaders to actually think about what they're doing already and what they would like to get better at, and that helps them to develop some goals that they can have in their professional pathways performance plan for the year to help them develop leadership skills.
To support them, I have the leadership profiles on my desk at all times, and when we have conversations about their challenges in their current role as school leaders in a leadership team, or when they're thinking about how to approach a particular challenge, or when I want to give them some very positive feedback about the way they've managed particular situations, I refer to the leadership profiles, and we locate their practice within the profiles, and we can talk about that to endorse what they are doing, but also to have a conversation about what the next step would be the next time a similar challenge arises. How can they mature their leadership actions because the pathways are described within the leadership profiles.
I think anyone who hasn't had a look at them yet should, especially if you're an aspiring leader or a leader that's new in a school, because they do give you a framework to run by.
That's really hard sometimes to know what to do next, and so the leadership profiles help articulate the next step in certain areas.
So what do aspiring principals have to gain from using the profiles? With their detailed description of the actions of school leaders across 5 professional practices, the profiles help aspirants to understand the scope and complexity of the principal role. For individual professional reflection, or when working with a mentor, the profiles are a useful guide to help aspiring principals identify their current leadership strengths. During coaching, mentoring, and performance development conversations, participants are able to draw on a common language and framework for shared understanding of school leadership practices. With the interactive profiles, aspirants can view a developmental pathway for an area of their practice and access targeted resources to help develop new leadership skills so they can be well prepared to lead a school in the future.
So as a reflection tool, as a tool that offers alternative pathways for enacting our roles and for zeroing in on areas for potential professional growth, they're a very rich and important resource for our profession.